Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all doing today? This is the Sunday, the 17th of July, 2022. We're back in the podding shed for another live show. I hope everyone out there is well. It's been pretty warm. The heat wave is coming and it's going to get hotter. So like we said last week, keep your drinks coming. Now, before we begin, I've also got COVID, so I'm a bit under weather, and I may have to call it early. We'll see how it goes, but we're doing our best here in Littlehampton. I'm feeling okay. Just a little bit under weather, not as bad as I was. Anyway, what we're going to be discussing today, a little bit later on, I want to know what you're sowing at the moment and what you're harvesting at the moment. Before that, we'll go through what we've been up to over this last week. But first, I've prepared something because I was a bit bored. Let's go. The roll call. So, yeah, I was a bit bored. Apologies about that. I got a bit bored and decided to play around with a few things. Who have we got, or is anybody actually out there today? Let's go right to the very beginning of these comments. We got Ballycillian Allotment Man is out there. Hi all, such a hot day it is, isn't it? Adrian is out there. Good evening to you. Lovely to see you. Philly SPB is out there. Hello everyone. What heat we had today. England's going to be bad next week. That was in Ireland. Northern Ireland, sorry. Turbo Stream, good evening, Veg Army. Good evening to you. Anna Jones has joined. Good evening to you. Anybody else? Turbo Stream is saying 32 degrees C on my patio this afternoon on a bit that never sees the sun. It's hot. Oracle says, hello, Army. Missed last week. Sorry, but I got it on replay. Lovely to see you anyway. Jenny, hello everyone. Hope you're okay and a lot happier than my poor crispy topped tomato plants. Seen a few tomato plants that have been gone to crisp today. Hargrave Gas, evening everyone. Hope you've managed to get some gardening done despite the heat. Oracle says it's warm now. Hosepipe bans are on the way now. That wouldn't surprise me. Chili Cake, good evening everyone. And Richard, I hope you're all keeping cool. We're doing our best here. It's certainly, I've just realised I put my ears in. It's certainly not been as hot today here as I thought it would be, in my opinion. And I've spent most of the day indoors, to be fair, because I didn't want to mainly keep the dog inside, but I can't leave the house, so I figured it'd be best to stay indoors. Nicola, evening all. Graham Arnold, evening all. Stuart Jackson, evening Richard and Veg Army, good evening to you. Evening to Richard Golding, good evening to you. Rebecca, good evening. Hope we're all keeping well. Lovely to see you. Anybody else? Rebecca saying don't stay on too long. I'm going to do my best. I'm okay. I'm on the mend, and it's not too taxing to do this. It's just, I was going to get it at some point. I'm amazed I've gone this long without catching COVID, to be honest. I'm in and out with my day job. I'm in hotels, restaurants all day long, so I wasn't surprised I've got it. Richard Golding's also got the COVID as well, so he's in the same boat as me. Of course, sorry to hear that, Richard. I hope it leaves you soon. I'm pretty sure it's on the way out. Don't push it if you've got COVID. You will regret it tomorrow. Look after yourself and get well soon. Like I say, I'm not going to push it. I'm not silly enough to think I can survive without it. I can survive without it. Idaho Garden Girl. Hello, Richard. Hi, Adrian. And everybody actually saying hello to there. Beatrice, good evening, everyone. I hope you're all managing to keep cool. Good evening to you. It's always a trooper. Take care. Indeed. Lisa from Not Just Green Fingers UK blog. Evening all. Hope you feel better soon as well. At the allotment 5:30 this morning. It was beautiful at that time. Love Lisa. Lisa has put a lovely video of our allotment in our Facebook group. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to download it to share it tonight, but please go ahead to our Facebook group and have a look at that video. It's a really good little video of our allotment and gives us a good idea of what's going on. There's also some nice questions going up in the allotment in the Facebook group this week. Alison Whelan has joined. Good evening to you. Hope you are well. And anybody else? I think Digwell, be careful with the COVID. It's not to be sniffed at. No, it's not to be sniffed at. Honestly, when Thursday and Friday when I was bad, I can tell why it was such a big problem for people. I'm over the worst of it now. Just coughing and sneezing a lot and tired. So yeah. As Turbo Stream is a previous long COVID sufferer, I can advise not to pushing it. Don't worry, I'm not going to be pushing it at all. Margaret, evening all from Dad and me. Good evening to you. So I think that is the roll call caught up. I haven't got any other extra videos like that to share with you. I was just having a bit of fun when I was a bit bored. So what have we been up to over this last week? For me, the only thing I've done, in all honesty, is a bit of watering and sown some Thai basil. Amanda, bless her heart, she is popping down to the allotment to water the allotment a bit for me. Bit difficult when she has a dog, so we're trying to figure a way out that perhaps Foxy doesn't have to go down there with her. But on a whole, that is all I've done. Sowed some Thai basil, which I think it's a bit lame, isn't it? But as we said, with COVID, you know, I can't do it. So what have you guys been up to? Let us know in the comments. Did you get the injections, Richard? Yes, I'm fully vaccinated up, so there's no problem with that. I'm all vaccinated up and what have you. Digwell says, my ex-sister-in-law just had it for the second time. Nightmare. I'm sure first time round is bad enough. And 2 times, yeah, I feel for them. So please do call in on 07307 135 174. Number is at the top of the screen as well if you haven't seen it already. Or that I've just put the link if you want to zap in as well and appear on the screen. That is going on. What have you been up to in your own gardens? Idaho says it's been so hot here. Yesterday was 103 degrees F. This week I've been pulling weeds, got my peppers and cucumbers transplanted, trying to keep everything watered. So I'm just trying to do some quick sums in my head. I think 103 F is about 36 degrees C for comparison. So about the same weather that we're expected this week. It's pretty warm. I think it's pretty warm anyway. I know some people will say, I think anything over 20 degrees C is pretty warm, to be fair. But I know some people can be a bit harder when it comes to the hotter weather and are able to avoid it. Oh, it feels good. It feels good. Adrian, I have stables and a yard to dig out the winter manure, but it's too hot at present. Indeed. I think that's what I want to hear is that people are acknowledging that it's too hot to do too much. Turbo Extreme, I had a chat with an old plot holder today, 55 years on his plot. His plot shows he knows his onions. I hope he knows his onions after 55 years. I meant that as a joke, sorry. I was going somewhere with that and I've just completely lost my train of thought. 55 years on the same plot, though. That's pretty good going, isn't it? Very, very good going. Chili Cake says, it's been too hot to do too much. I was up the allotment at 7 a.m. this morning for some weeding and mulching. The beetroot and carrots that I planted from the club just coming up. Fantastic. Lovely to see that. Beetroot and carrots, they've germinated very quickly because I sent those out at the beginning of a month. So just over 2 weeks. They've done well. They've done very, very well to be germinate. Just goes to show that the heat just helps them germinate that much quicker. Digwell says 103F is 39.5 degrees C, so I wasn't far off from 36 in my quick sums. Skinny Jim Garner says, hope you're feeling better, pal. From Lee, I'm on the mend. I'm on the mend, buddy. Know your onions. Oh, indeed. All know your onions. After 55 years, you think you'd try a new vegetable. I knew there was a joke in there somewhere. I just couldn't quite get to it. Idaho says, thank you for translating. And Chili Cake says, I've been harvesting courgettes, broad beans, sugar snap peas, and rhubarb, and a continuous stream of loose leaf salad. So there's not much going on in the chat about what we've been up to over this last week. I mean, not surprised. It has been very, very warm this week. And I think I said last week, I've said on the podcast as well, I'm just trying to sort my ears out, that we when it's hot like this, the garden's still there after this hot weather. We've just got to try and make sure that we look after ourselves and keep ourselves well hydrated and looked after. The garden will still be there. Anna Jones been picking the last few sugar snap peas and strawberries, also courgettes, and a good crop of kestrel spuds. Far too many gooseberries, blackbirds finishing them off as usual. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was a picture gone up in the group about don't leave off today what you can, don't leave till tomorrow what you can do today, from Stuart Jackson, who forgot to pick his gooseberries in times, and the birds ate a lot of them. So we've got quite a few gooseberries coming in at the moment. Absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. Graham, have already had 20 mini munch cucumbers for my 2 plants. That's very good going to have that many mini munch cucumbers, but hey, they're good, aren't they? They are tasty, those mini munch cucumbers. Jenny, I forgot the basil. I've sown the Thai basil, holly basil, cinnamon basil, licorice basil, blue spice basil, and lemon basil. Ice basil tea coming my way September time. There's so much choice of basil, isn't there? A lot of choice in basil. Alison says, I've sown some French beans, peas, purple sprout and broccoli, red cabbage, and lettuce. There we go. Hargrave Gas. I've brought loads of timers and irrigation stuff from eBay, hoping I can keep my plants alive when on holiday. You know, this is actually a subject I thought about discussing on one of the podcasts in the future, about when you go on holiday, how you can prepare for your plants. But it's always the same advice. Yes, set up timers. I don't mind setting up timers on my water butts, but I don't like doing it on our taps for our mains water. Very rarely use our mains water for watering a garden anyway. But to use timers, I always worry if a timer breaks when I'm on holiday and I'm away for 2 weeks, that's going to cost a fortune in water alone, especially if nobody checks on it. But I'm always trying to experiment with ideas of self-watering using my water butts. Oh, yes, we picked the first of our Charlotte potatoes from the garden. Oh, lovely. Yep. I've got to pick more potatoes soon. I have harvested beetroot, peas, potatoes, broad beans, raspberries and chard this week. Busy, busy, busy. Digwell says F to C, subtract by 32, then multiply by 5 and divide by 9. I was doing a rough thing in my head where I take away 30 and half what's left and roughly come up with what I need. Alison, harvesting strawberry spinach, lovely. Cucumbers, beans and peas. Had to harvest all my cabbage after being attacked by caterpillars. Lesson learned. Yeah. What are caterpillars? The cabbage white butterfly, aren't they? They're always annoying. They always get your cabbages right when you don't want them. Netting, I think, is the way to stop it from happening, or try and encourage birds in a bit more often. 4 hours on the plot today, 1 hour watering and 3 hours sitting in the chair surveying what's happening. That's the type of gardening that I want to hear about, and seeing if there's any changes to be made for next year. All other jobs can wait too hot. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. All other jobs can wait. I flooded next door 3 years ago when a timer broke. They had to go around and turn the outside tap off. It was running for 15 hours, not 15 minutes. Yeah, that's my point. That's what's always scared me about having a timer. Excuse me, on our mains water. That and the how much it would cost if it ran for 2 weeks or whatever. In this weather, I just sit in front of a computer most of the time. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Right, so let's move on to this week's main subject. Let me just sort this here out. It's not staying in place today. There we go. So what we want to talk about, what are you sowing and harvesting at the moment? Now, I thought we'll start off, we'll break it down into what are you sowing at the moment. And there's quite a few things that we can be sowing. And I started off by saying that the only thing I've done this week is sown Thai basil. That's it. But that doesn't mean that's all I can be sowing. What I've also got on this list, I could be sowing peas, French beans, spring cabbage, carrots, pak choy, spinach, lettuce, beetroot, just to name a few. What about you guys? Are you sowing any particular crops this month? And what are they? Lisa says, planted some red cabbage plants, lettuce plants, and some wallflower plants. I've sowed some perpetual spinach, lettuce, spring cabbage, more spring onions, radish, and honesty ready for spring. I've been harvesting cucumbers, my first tomatoes, French beans, and my first runner beans of the year, and deadheading and watering and wondering once again why I planted too many courgette plants. I don't think there's such thing as too much courgette. I like courgettes, so I find that what we tend to do, if we get a lot of courgettes, I'll make something with them, probably a ratatouille or something like that, just to use them up, keep them in the freezer. I don't believe there's any such thing as a glut. All there is there's a lack of imagination on how to use it. Digwell says, I picked a load of nasturtium leaves to add to a seed leaf mix. The undersides were so covered in caterpillars that they went straight into the worm bin. Well, that's a good sign, isn't it? That's what nasturtiums do, and take away all those caterpillars away from your cabbages, away from your plants, and sacrifice themselves. Okay, you're not able to eat them so much. Not the end of the world, is it? Not the end of the world. Although, if you are looking to have them in a salad leaf mix, yeah, nice peppery flavour, aren't they? Oh, thank God for that. I don't know how hot it is where everyone else is, but it's not too bad here, I've got to say. I didn't get a thermometer out today. It's been around the high 20s, but not as hot as what I was expecting. I think tomorrow is going to be the day that we really find out just how hot it gets. I'm hoping we're not going to get the 39 degrees C that everyone's been threatening, because that is going to be hot. That is hot. Right now, no harvest. I'm transplanted heat tolerant tatsoi. Thinking about sowing lettuce, but I will have to start them inside the AC house. What's the AC house, if you don't mind me asking? But yeah, tatsoi. I mean, that falls in line with pak choy, the Oriental vegetables, as they are called, the plants that originate from the Oriental areas. The pak choy, wongbok, tatsoi, mizuna, kumasatana, something like that. They're a good one to sow at the moment. They're a type of mustard. We get quite a lot of mustards at the moment. The flowers were okay, so they went into the salad. This is the flowers from the nasturtium, so they went okay into the salad. So that's good. That's good. Adrian says 28 degrees C in Suffolk. That's not bad. I thought it would be hotter than that. Idaho says air-conditioned house. Sorry, I thought it was. I thought it was something to do with air conditioning. Just goes to show my head isn't in the right place at the moment. Apologies. Adrian says I've experienced 42 degrees C in South Africa. I don't think I could function at that temperature. I really don't think I could function at all in that temperature. I was on Monday. I was still at work. I didn't have COVID by that point. I was working on a rooftop all day. When I got back in the van said it was 39 degrees C. I was melting, to say the least. 28 degrees C in the northeast from Beatrice. Adrian says 28 degrees C now in Suffolk. I reckon we are probably about 26 here. 26 is my guess. Got to remember, I'm about 10 minutes walk from the sea, so we get a bit of a breeze, a bit of a cooling effect from that here. So it does make it a little bit more tolerable here. I mean, the good thing about that, if it is hot, we did this the other day before I had COVID again. Took Roxy for a walk on the beach, and I jumped in the sea to cool down. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Turbo Stream says they are due for 38 degrees C in Birmingham. Is that tomorrow? It's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. We're going to be keeping an eye on all this hot weather. So what other ideas have people got for what they can be sowing at the moment? Something I mentioned this just now is the peas and the French beans. I've got quite a few of these seeds left over that I'm trying to use up. And as I've been harvesting things from certain beds, which we'll get into in a moment, what I've realized is that these beds are going to be empty. They're destined to be for beans next year, but there's no reason why I can't start using them this year. So I've started putting French bean seeds and pea seeds into these beds to get them into use. The idea, of course, over winter we're going to be planting out a lot more of the green manures and probably the field beans into these. But for the time being, it's still early enough that we can get a harvest of peas, a harvest of French beans. So, yeah, I'm literally just broadcasting the seeds straight over the beds into those as they are empty, getting the rake and raking them around and then giving them a good water and hoping they're going to germinate. It's going to be difficult to keep the birds off, but I think we'll be okay. Excuse me, sorry. Digwell says, much higher than 30 degrees C and the tomatoes won't pollinate properly, especially with high night temps. Yeah, it's going to be that hot though, isn't it? You just got to hope for the best. Toaster, we freeze in the winter and bake in the summer here. We just can't get it right. Not just Green Fingers UK blog. While the weather is so hot, it's a good time to check what seeds you need for next year, as Wilco and Dobbies have 50% off their seeds. That's right. I saw that actually. I saw that Wilco's are starting to do their 50% off the seeds. In fact, in about 2 months' time, end of the summer holidays, I can guarantee you garden centres will start doing their sales to try and get rid of all the equipment, all the this year's gear, so that they got more room to get the Christmas stock in. I give that the end of August, beginning of September, when you'll start seeing that. Andrew Norris has joined. Lovely to see you. Hope you are well, all the way from Croatia. How warm is it in Croatia today? Digwell says, I've successively sown more dwarf French beans, Faraday, and a load of winter and spring brassicas. What winter and spring brassicas are you sowing, Digwell? I'm guessing cabbages, cauliflowers. What a garden year. Won't have any problems ripening my tomatoes this year. No, I don't think anybody's going to have any problems ripening tomatoes this year. I'm surprised. It's been I feel it's been a weird year this year, weather-wise. We've had some nice warm days, but it's not really got hot. And now we're getting this real hot spell. I'm only sowing in modules. The allotment is so dry now, the soil is cracking. We need rain desperately. Rain, I saw predicted for the end of this week. But that does bring me up to something that I did sort of mention. I have got some plants that need to get into the ground. I'm not going to be doing it this week anyway, because I can't get to the allotment to get them in. But I wouldn't be putting them into the ground in this heat anyway. It's just too dry that they're not going to establish. So I'm leaning on the side now that we'll just get them into a bigger pot, keep them at home, keep them well watered. And once it just gets a little bit cooler, we'll get them in the ground then, and we can make sure we can water them very, very well. Digwell says, spring onions as always, and more radish and lettuce too. That's what he's sowing, more spring onions, radish and lettuce. Andrew Norris has moved over to YouTube. Chili Kate, our garden centre had boxes and boxes of seeds for 50p. I bought loads of them. Yeah, this is what I mean. They will start selling them off very cheap very soon. Very soon indeed. Turbostream, my climbing French beans are loving the hot weather though. Parsnips are very poor this year. Yeah, parsnips do seem to be a bit of a challenge this year. But it's still a little bit early. We'll see what happens. Digwell says, keeping the sun off ripening tomatoes if possible, as it makes the skin tough. I don't know if anybody has been growing. I've been growing these small mini bell tomatoes, and I've grown them in the balcony garden and the windowsill garden. And they're tiny little plants, and they've produced tomatoes very, very, very early, but the skins have been really hard. I won't be doing those again. I thought they'd be nice to grow in somewhere really tough space. Skins are really tough, really, really tough on those mini bell tomatoes. Overrun with broad beans, and it's been a good year for soft fruit. Very good year for soft fruit, indeed. Very, very good year for soft fruit. Ballison, yes, I want to see Dobby's Saturday, 50% of seeds 2024 use by date. Plenty of time to use them up. Winter/spring brassicas, cabbage and cauliflowers, he was saying. Rebecca says, am I too late to sow parsnips, Richard? Then she comes back, sorry, I mean turnips. No, it's still time to sow turnips. You can sow those right now. You can sow those right up to September, believe it or not. You might just only get small turnips. I'm not a huge lover of turnips, but I find when they're small, they do taste much better. And the thing to remember with turnips, keep them well watered. If they dry out, they go a bit hard. But no, still plenty of time to sow turnips. Pretty hardy, pretty good. Same here with the mini bell from Digwell. Plus, they look sickly. Yeah, they did look sickly, actually. I wasn't overly impressed with the plant. I thought it was going to be a good idea for a small space garden. Someone who hasn't got much in the way of garden space. But no, I can't say I'm impressed with the mini bell. Oh, there we go. Ernie, a lovely summer's evening, Richard. My lawn is now straw-like. Yeah. I've noticed a lot of the grass is becoming just like straw now. About time. This is where you can spot the people that either water the grass or have artificial grass because it just looks green and pristine all the time. If anybody has artificial grass, I do not mean this personally, but I can't stand artificial grass in my garden. I won't have it. No offense to anybody that has it, it's just not for me. I chuck them in the stew. This is turnips. It bulks them out. I just found when I had turnips, it had this sort of almost acidic taste to them that I just wasn't that keen on. But I do find if they're smaller, they are less acidic. Idaho Gun Girl, oh my gosh, my parsnips are doing amazing. They went to seed and blew all over the place, then germinated this spring. I have a nice crop growing. I pull many of them because they come up in odd spots. So, right, so you get, when they've gone to flower, they've self-germinated and you've managed to keep them going. Excellent stuff. Adrian is saying, hi, Ernie, hope you are keeping well. At this point, I'd just like to remind everybody, if you are enjoying this, please do give us a thumbs up. Please do give us a like or any of the emojis that are available to you. Don't forget to click subscribe and don't forget to click follow or click the bell or notifications so that you know when we go live. Seems like a good time to say that. A quick swig of this coming up as well. Apologies if I keep drinking this and going quiet. It's just I've got to do it. This seems like a good point to quickly have a look at some of the photos that have been sent in this week as well. So let's go for this one. Let's have a quick look. So, oh, that hasn't worked, has it? Let me get rid of the overlay. This has came in from Idaho Garden Girl, and it is an overshot of her garden. She's been sharing with us each week, and each week we're pleased with how it's looking. This is coming from Stuart Jackson. This is July in his vegetable garden, also looking rather nice and lush. Got to say, a lot of lush leafage going on there. Hang on. There should have been another photo there. It's disappeared. But he's also harvested these potatoes, which look delicious, absolutely delicious and fantastic. Now, David Williams, don't think I've seen David in the group tonight, but he's posted in this. He's a member of a supporters club, and he has been enjoying sowing the seeds and growing. Look at that sweet corn, looks fantastic. And he's also got these courgettes, which is just springing into life as well. Looks fantastic. Very, very, very pleased to see that as well. Now, Jenny has been to Belvedere Garden Show, and she saw this, a syntropic food garden. This is what it looks like, almost like a potager garden. A lot of flowers and cabbages mixed in with trees and everything else. It looks absolutely beautiful. Like this idea. She also saw this compost planter, and this got my interest piqued. Basically, these wooden planting boxes with a drawer at the back that you can compost in as well. And all that means is that all that compost feed will also feed your plants as well. Here's another one. Like the idea of it. Be interested to see how long they last made out of wood, but like the idea of it. It's very similar to my sub-pod garden system. Now, finally, Digwell has shared this joke, and it's a top tip for newbie plot holders. He says to treat everything as a weed until someone shouts, "Oi, what are you doing?" So that is all the photos that we've had this week. Please do keep sending your photos in. It's always lovely to see them, and always lovely to well, we always love seeing them and talk about them as well, of course. Where were we? Andrew says, lucky you, Idaho Garden Girl. I've had another disastrous year for parsnips. I know Andrew in the past has said he struggles with parsnips, so that's not a surprise, is it? I never can figure out quite what's going on there. Rebecca says, well, what a lovely picture. I agree. It was a lovely picture. I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but they were all lovely. And he says, I've placed lots of water in the garden for the hedgehogs. They are quite fast on their feet. Have you replaced refreshments for them? That's a very good question, Ernie. Yes, I have. I've always got water out for our hedgehogs. I'm not sure where they've taken up residence at the moment. I think they're underneath a bush that we have around here. But yes, always got water out for the hedgehogs. Always got water out for birds, or dogs, chickens. You know, it doesn't cost anything to put a bowl of water out. Let's just do it. Do it. Stuart Jackson's picture looks amazing. Excellent. Sorry, David Williams is my real name. There are a few of us, common name, really. Really pleased my Veg Ground podcast seeds progress. Right. Sorry. It was Hargrave Gas. Right. Sorry. I did not put the two together. So there we go. Yeah, lovely to see your photos. Lovely to see your photos, and really pleased with the seeds progress. Yeah, fantastic. That's what amazes me. Parsnips, etc., go to seeds the previous years, lay in the soil all winter. When they germinate following season, and we all wait and go whether to sow seeds and get bad germination. Absolutely, that is something I've always said. It's the same as volunteer potatoes, isn't it? If they're left in the ground, those little potatoes, that they come back and they grow better than any potatoes that we ever plant. There is something about leaving it in the ground and letting it work out when to emerge for itself. Same as I planted a couple of mustard plants in my garden last year, and I let it go to seed because I wanted to harvest some seed and make some mustard powder. And some of it did germinate. Some of it did put the seed in the soil, and it's germinated all over this bed. But I tell you what, it is delicious, and it grows better than any mustard that I've sown myself. So, yeah, there's the plants know what they're doing far better than what we do. Although I would love for it to happen with all my vegetable plants. The weeds do it readily. Indeed. Brilliant picks. Need to send some more in from Turbo Stream. Please do send some more in. Rebecca, I've got my little wildlife pond, but I'm going to put some more water out tonight. Wildlife pond is good enough, but yeah, put water out for the hedgehogs as well, and the birds, and even the rats and the mice. I know we don't like talking about those things, but they are there. They are going to need water as well. I've got to say, I was watching Rebecca did a live show on her Instagram channel the other day, just a little tour of her front garden. Absolutely beautiful front garden as well. Absolutely beautiful front garden. Such transformation has came along. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Turbo Stream, I need to see more in. Got lazy. I need to send more in. Got lazy in the last few weeks. There's a lot going on. So it's hard to keep up with it. Chili Cake, listening while potting on tomato suckers. I popped them in compost at the beginning of the week as an experiment, and they are pot bound already. Will be interesting to see if they come to anything. That'll be interesting as well. I'll be interested to see if they come to anything. Beatrice, I took photos and got to post them. Please do keep posting them. It's always good to see. I've sown parsnips in paper pots. Really good germination. Yeah. Stuart always talks about this. He'll sow parsnips in paper pots, get them to germinate, and then plant them out, which is probably a good idea. Turbo Stream, perhaps we should sow parsnips winter and cover the drill and let them get on with it. Good point, Valley. Very good point, Valley. Yeah, I've always felt this. There's a lot to be said for plants just being able to find their own way. It's like I said with the volunteer potatoes. I'm sure every single person out there who is, you've left that tiny little potato, but it grows back at the right time and does better than anything else. Or the sunflower seeds is another one, isn't it? They always seem to do better when they've just germinated themselves. Right. So what are you harvesting at the moment is the next that we were asking on this list. So we've harvested over the last couple of weeks. I'm trying to, I do it for the month. We've harvested our garlic. We've got our onions that are meant to come out this weekend, but I couldn't. Our shallots are harvested. They're just dried out in the greenhouse. We've got courgettes, absolutely delicious, nice yellow ones as well. Tomatoes, mix of colours, black, yellow, red, delicious and tasty. We've got peas, we've got broad beans, we've got spinach, we've got mustard, we've got rhubarb. Oh God, the list can go on and on with what we are harvesting at the moment. Soft fruits. We've had so many soft fruits. We've got a freezer pretty much half full just of soft fruits. And these are like red currants, black currants, gooseberries, blackberries, which are really early, tayberries. What else? Strawberries. They've not gone in the freezer though. What else? Josterberries. Just so many of these delicious fruits that are just coming in and absolutely delicious. Jenny says, I'm sat in the shade in the garden. I have voles running around my feet harvesting grass. Loves the wildlife in the garden. Pop some water out for the wildlife if you can. I mean, I love all animals. Don't get me wrong. I'm not keen on certain animals for different reasons, but it's not their fault. They're just doing what they do. But of course, we've got to make sure they've got water for them. Got to make sure there's water available for them. Do your pot sown parsnips fork, Stuart? Might try that next year, asked Turbo Stream. Oh, wow. Excellent photos of the veg gardens. I'm envious, though. I must say, a lot of your hard work has been rewarded by your crops. It's what it's all about. It is what it's all about, getting those crops coming in and enjoying the food. I was harvesting gooseberries, but I left it one day too late, so I've been feeding the birds. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. It's always the way, isn't it? It's the same. We had some red currants, and we had so many red currants that I just filled our containers up. I couldn't fit any more to carry them home. Went back the next day, and they'd been eaten by the birds. Not complaining. Not complaining. Rebecca says, I'm still a bit behind, but done my garlic and onions. I'm waiting on courgette, tomato, chilies, cucumbers, potatoes. Hopefully this week will bring them on. I expect a lot of plants, providing they're watered regularly, are going to really put on a lot of growth this week. A lot of growth. It's just getting that water to them. And I think if you're like me, you're probably watering them first thing in the morning, last thing at night. I prefer to do it last thing at night if I can. Just think then they've got all night to take up that water. I would let tomatoes self-sow, except the ones that are germinating right now will never make a crop. The transplanted seedlings are started indoors already, 18 inches to 24 inches tall. That's 1.5 to 2 foot tall. Wow, yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it? Pretty good. Beatrice says, my blackcurrants tasted awful. Got 5 bushes and all had the same off taste. That's odd. I wonder what happened there. What can cause blackcurrants to taste awful and off 5 bushes? I don't know. Mine have been delicious. So I'm interesting. Were they tart or what was Beatrice? What was off about the flavour? Talking of plants finding their own way. Next year, I'm definitely sowing later and sowing more direct. All the later or directly sown plants are so much healthier. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I don't tend to sow directly unless I have to, for very different reasons. I will let you know about the parsnips when I harvest them. There we go. We'll find out. Me too, Jenny. My Brussels sprouts and leeks have done well from my seed bed. I do like this idea that TurboStream has made about his seed bed. When he's built a bed with really fine soil in it, just for sowing seeds. It's a good idea. It's a good idea if you can dedicate the space. I've been eating courgettes this week. Fantastic. Homegrown courgettes, I hope, Stuart. Homegrown courgettes. You can always tell when the berries and currants are ripe. Just watch the birds. Yeah, that's always a good sign, actually. If the birds are eating your berries, you know they are ripe. In fact, one of my successes this year, the cherry tree. Normally, the birds will eat my cherries before I get to harvest most of them. This year, no, I beat them. I got them harvested before the birds got to them. And we got a lot of them. I still left a few for the birds because I do try and leave some for the birds. But yeah, cherries, absolutely. Morello cherries, these are. They're delicious. Couldn't quite describe it, but they didn't taste like blackcurrants. They were okay last year. What's done differently? I don't know. Hopefully it's just a one-off year then, but we'll keep a close eye and find out. My French beans from this month's supporters club have grown much better than the ones I sown 6 weeks ago. It's because it's warmer. The French beans I sent out this year, if I remember correctly, were a dwarf variety or something only as well. So they should do all right. Rebecca says, don't you think this time of year is so exciting? Us gardeners have grown our food. All the hard work is paid off. All the planning, all the backbreaking work, it's our time. I completely agree with that. And I used to think to myself, well, the school holiday, the summer school holiday was based around when the kids could help the parents bring in the harvests. And I always thought, well, hang on, harvest is normally later on, October time. But then you see all these food that we are bringing in at the moment, these tomatoes, these soft fruits. Suddenly realise that that's why they were off, to get in these soft fruits, to get in the fiddly stuff to help the kids. That's why we have school holidays. Digwell, blackcurrants don't really taste like blackcurrants until they are very ripe. Before that, they taste like chicken. Taste like chicken. I've never noticed that. Perhaps that might be what it is. Perhaps they just weren't quite ripe enough. Somebody in the Facebook group is saying, hello, Richard, running late. Lovely to see you, whoever you are. Unfortunately, I can't see. If you just add your name at the end of the comments so I know who you are. It happens from time to time. It's just the way Facebook works. Excuse me. So on that note, just like to remind you, I know I've said this already, please do give us a like, please do give us a subscribe, and please do click the notification so that you know when we go live. As I sit here with COVID, trying my hardest to keep going. Don't worry, I'm not pushing it too hard. It's quite easy doing this tonight, I've got to admit. You guys helping me so much out with the chat by keeping the chat going helps me out a lot. So thank you. Thanks, Digwell, but they were falling off the bush, so seemed ripe. Wonder if they were overripe, but I can't see that doing it. Stuart says, yes, they were his own grown courgettes. Can't beat your own homegrown courgette. I saw somebody say that they'd been to a shop and they were selling courgettes for £2 each. £2 a courgette. I thought to myself, we're living on a gold mine. I'm getting courgettes on a daily basis. I could be selling those for a couple of quid, easy. £2 a courgette seemed incredibly expensive for me. But we grow our own. That's what it's all about. That's why we enjoy our courgettes. That's why we enjoy our food. I haven't had any chilies yet. I know somebody mentioned chilies earlier. I'm really looking forward to getting a lot of chilies. I've been growing chilies and peppers in hanging baskets this year because I figured it might work quite well in encouraging them to produce good crops because they need to be watered, but they also need to dry out, and hanging baskets almost encourage that. I can't tell just yet, but they do seem to have worked. They do seem to have worked really well at growing in hanging baskets. They just haven't cropped yet. Jenny says, could the lack of rain have affected the sugars forming, etc. in the berries? I know berries are full of various chemical reactions inside as growing. It's possible it could be due to the lack of rain. It is possible, but I just don't get that feeling that's what it is. I'm not sure what it is. Like, what can cause blackcurrants to just suddenly change colour? Change colour? Change their flavour? It could be the lack of rain. That's the only thing I guess that would be different, isn't it? The lack of rain. But then that would affect everyone's blackcurrants. I could be wrong. As always, I could be wrong. Stuart says, I spent the first hour of the garden today doing a Chelsea chop of my apple trees. Loads of fruit this year. Yes, my apple tree is absolutely festooned. Festooned. Good word, isn't it? Festooned. Festooned with apples. I'm looking forward to trying to get hold of some of those when they are ready. We're going to be making a lot of cider, I think, this year. And it says, hello, didn't realise the time. We have finally have heat up in Cumbria. Yes, warmed up in Cumbria for everyone. So that's good. That's good. You can take some of the heat. We want some rain down here, though. We would really do with some rain. Don't forget to, if you want to call in, the phone line is open, 07307 135 174. Or if you want to zap yourself in, the link is on in the comments. We're discussing what are you sowing at the moment and what are you harvesting at the moment. And I'm going to ask, is anybody looking forward to something that they are growing to harvest? Well, that didn't make much good sense, did it, the English? Is anybody out there looking forward to harvesting something that they are growing in particular? So I've said I'm really looking forward to the chilies and peppers when they become available. for me, that's something I'm really. I mean, I love chilies anyway, but that's really looking forward to those. My apple tree is good this year. Pears not that good though. That funny enough, same here. My pear tree has a single pear on it. So I'm looking after that pear really, really well. But yeah, apple tree very good this year. Pear tree not so good. Lovely to see you, Ian. Good point there, Jenny from Beatrice, about the lack of rainfall. Yeah, yeah. Ian, same here. Apples heaving, pear empty. There we go. There we go. It goes to show. What was that noise? Goes to show that there's obviously something about apples and pears this year. I mean, I usually find that you get good years, very good years, and then you get a bad year, particularly with peach trees, actually. My peach tree is in a very good year this year. Where as soon as they're ready, they're going to be delicious. They're a white peach I have there. But I find next year will be a bad year for peaches. So you get a good year, a very good year, excuse me, then a bad year with peaches. Rebecca says, I'm looking forward to everything. I love growing food. Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? Savoy cabbages and leeks is what Graham is. I'm guessing that's what looking forward to. Stuart Jackson says, really looking forward to harvesting our cherry tomatoes, which I'm growing outside on the patio. Excellent. Yeah. I've been growing more this year, particularly. Sorry, I keep referring back to myself, but it's conversations there. I'm growing more tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, in hanging baskets this year because I've done it a bit more last year, but it just seems to work in all the extra gardens that I've built this year. And I'm really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. They need more watering, of course, but we're getting bigger and better crops. Definitely looking forward to making my chili jam from my own chilies. Tomatoes and onions. Our plum tomatoes are looking great. Oh, Chili Kate, please do share your in private. Share with me your chili jam recipe because I've got one that I absolutely love, and it makes this real nice sticky chili jam that spread it on your toast and have it for breakfast. It's delicious. Jim M, I have plenty of pears on 2 trees, Conference and Comest Doyen, but they are bloody small this year. So you sort of bucking the trend, but not quite because of the smallness might be down to the lack of rainfall, to be fair. Idaho says, it appears that I might get some plums, nectarines, apples, peaches, pluets from my trees. I planted the trees 3-4 years ago and never got much of a crop. Last year I got 2 plums. I've got a plum tree out there that's not got any plums on it either, but I only got it this year. Jenny says, I cannot wait to harvest my tomatoes. So many varieties of all shapes and colours and sizes. Also my bean varieties and hopefully melons. Tomatoes are my weakness. I can't say no to a new variety. Tomatoes are always one. I find that tomatoes, I buy a pack of tomato seeds, you sow them, you end up with loads of this one variety, and then I always find I want to try that variety and that variety and that variety and that variety as well, and then you end up with either having to buy more seeds or buying them individually from a garden centre because tomatoes are so great and there's so many good different varieties. That's why I've done. I mean, I do my Mountain Magic, my Crimson Crush. We've got the Gardener's Delight. We've got the Sweet Cherry, the Sweet Millions. Oh, so many different tomatoes out there. Absolutely delicious. Anis is also looking forward to tomatoes. Just handful harvested, but they were just happy they were red. Peas, lots, yum. Courgettes are getting near. Peppers are tiny. Excellent. Yeah, all looking good. All looking good. The fisherman says, I'm on my plot listening in and wishing I brought gloves as I'm picking gooseberries. I know how you feel there. That's the trouble with gooseberries. They've got these beautiful, lovely, delicious fruits behind these pricks. They are pricks, aren't they? They're thick old things. And you do need decent gloves, which in this heat doesn't make it easy to try and keep up with them. But yeah, and I feel your pain. I do feel your pain. Turbo Stream, looking forward to my Brussels sprouts and Swedes after last year's failures. I think Brussels sprouts are the Supporters Club seeds. Yeah, I did send them out. Oh, and the leeks and the French beans. Yeah, yes, it's all been. I feel beans and squashes have been a really good year this year. Plenty of varieties and plenty of chance to really get them absolutely established. Jim says absolute prices, Richard, and pricks. Talking about the gooseberries, yeah, absolute pricks. Yeah, they really are. They're sharp old things, aren't they? They're not. They're not. I mean, your brambles are bad enough, but the gooseberries just take it to a whole another level. And yet the birds still eat them. Idaho says, I love to try new varieties of anything. I try and keep an old favourite just in case the new variety is a disaster. Yeah. I'm always trying to try in different varieties as well. Chili Cake says, to be honest, I'm excited about it all. Only 3 months into my allotment journey, and I'm so amazed how much we have achieved. So many plans for next year. There you go, Chili Cake. This is what we want to hear 3 months in, and you've clearly enjoyed it. You've got the bug, and you're going to be doing it next year, and you're making plans for next year, so you're committed. I've been talking before I caught COVID, and I was around my dad's. A Canadian family were over, and they've all really got into, including my dad, who should still be watching, all got into their growing food this year in much bigger scale, and it's great to see because they're really all, my uncle as well, all really enjoying it and making the most of it. Jenny says, I have well over 60 packs of different tomato varieties, and I have my eye on more. I may have a problem. This is the trouble, isn't it? I mean, I'm looking at boxes and boxes of seeds that I have at the moment. I've got to go through all my seeds at some point and see how many we have, because last time we counted them, there was quite a few. But it's not so much the sowing of the seeds. It's looking after them and getting them to grow. And what do you do with the ones that you don't want? I'm trying to whittle my tomato choices down by trial and error. My must-have so far are the Tumbler, not Tumbling Tom, Rose de Burn, and Britain's Breet Fast. Yes, I think that's quite right. So for me, I've got to grow Crimson Crush and Mountain Magic, purely because we get blight very, very, pretty much every year here. So the Crimson Crush and the Mountain Magic I found to give us decent tomatoes, whilst avoiding blight. Not quite as good as what I would say as some of the other tomatoes that are out there in flavour, but they're good enough. But it's the blight that's our biggest problem. So I try sometimes to go for the non-blight resistant varieties, and I usually end up losing out to them because blight. Apple trees, lots of fruits, no pears though. Any advice on feeding fruit trees? So, yeah, you're best off feeding in sort of the spring with a good slow release granular fertilizer, and get it into the soil. Good compost mulch as well, that helps feed them. And this time of year, you could add a liquid feed, maybe a tomato feed would work if you really had to, but a good granular feed would help. Good helping of potash, or if you have a wood fire, that wood ashes around the bottom of your apple tree in the sort of springtime will go a long way as well. I'm going to sneeze. Sorry about that. I think I'm going to do another one. Sorry again. Jim M, yesterday I had buckets of cherries waiting for harvest. Today I had blackbirds, thrushes, and no more cherries. Bless them. Yeah, I beat the birds to our cherries this year. I hate nets. I hate nets on them for some reason, so I've never done that. My seed box is overflowing with seeds, mostly from Supporters Club. I feel guilty not sowing them all. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. If you don't sow them all, they can be sown next year, or what you can do, give them away to somebody who perhaps can't afford to start gardening and needs a bit of encouragement. Give them a bit of a hand to get them started into growing their own food, or find a local seed swap. Go and join a local seed swap and take them down to there. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel guilty about it at all. They are there. They are your seeds. You do what you like with them. Right. No more liquid until I finish this show tonight. So yeah. I mean, I know a few people have sort of said I send out too many seeds for them, which is probably true, but it's how I'd like to do it. The choice is there. You don't have to sow them all. Don't have to sow them all. And I'd sooner, if you don't sow them, all the seeds you don't want to sow, you give them to people who might be able to use them. I need a commercial-sized polytunnel so I can grow all my tomatoes I'd like to. Honestly, they make me so happy and give me my me time. 10 minutes coffee while side shooting. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. That's why I'm looking forward to... Don't know when it's going to happen yet. I'm looking forward to getting a second greenhouse down on the allotment. So one will be just for tomatoes and the other one will be for cucumbers and aubergines, things that need slightly different growing conditions. It's going to give me a lot of tomatoes, but I don't mind that. I like tomatoes. It's also going to give me a lot of cucumbers. Don't mind that because I like cucumbers. A lot of things like that. I mean, this is the advantage I'm going to have with having two greenhouses on the allotment and the greenhouse at home. I mean, the greenhouse at home is becoming more for a seed sowing station now. Somewhere we'll still have tomatoes growing in there, of course, but it's more somewhere we can sow seeds. Turbo Stream says, might put a few on the sharing bench then. Someone else on the plot might use them. And if they've got the Veg Grow Podcast label on them, it advertises the podcast as well. So win-win in my eyes. Sorry, that's completely selfish on my side. At that point, I should mention, if anybody's asking, we've mentioned the Supporters Club a few times. I run a Veg Grow Podcast Supporters Club. It was initially intended for the podcast, but it's also gone on to the live stream. I charge £5 a month for that. You head to the veggrowpodcast.co.uk to sign up to do that. And for that, you get extra behind-the-scenes podcasts. But each month, I also send out a few packets of seeds that can be sown that very month. Jim M says, I have one greenhouse just for tomatoes and one for everything else. Works for me. That's exactly what I'm thinking of doing. That's the sort of thing I'm thinking of doing. I mean, tomatoes, we're talking about tomatoes quite a bit tonight. With tomatoes, because we do use a lot of tomatoes, be it just your standard salad tomatoes or chopped tomatoes in things like to make a curry, or plum tomatoes, your tin tomatoes, your passata, or even your pasta sauce. I make batches and batches and batches up of that and just keep those in the freezer so that we can keep them going all year round. A friend of mine used to freeze tomatoes whole, which I never really saw the point of, and then just boiled them up when he needed them. Tomatoes are delicious. Add some basil as well. Oh, delicious, isn't it? Delicious, delicious, delicious. And we got this really nice at the moment, this red basil. Really nice, really nice. It just adds that whole other dimension of colour to things. I already got the weekly email on our allotment to give out the podcast details. No idea if anyone tuned in. I don't know. I never know because of how podcasts work. My aubergines are grown with my tomatoes in the polytunnel and peppers. They have to share and get along. So far, so good. Other aubergine and peppers outside have more fruits on them. So I can sort of explain. You are right. They have to share and get along. But the aubergines, they need a bit more of a higher humidity, a bit like cucumbers. That's why aubergines and cucumbers are probably better partners. tomatoes like it a bit drier, which is probably why you're getting better fruits outside, because there's a bit of a higher humidity outside. And that would be my guess why you're getting that difference. Jenny says, "Can we have a tomato night? So much to talk about." Yeah, let me jot that down. I'll do that. I'll put that down. We will do a tomato night. It could be fun. That could be a fun one, actually. That could be a lot of fun. A tomato night. We'll have that on the list. That'll probably be in a few weeks' time. Supporters Club comes highly recommended. Only been a member for a few months, and I already look forward to the packets as well as an extra entertainment on my long commutes. Yeah, well, entertainment, that's not one word I would use, but I do my best. I still want to do more with it. I still want to take it up to the next levels, but we will get there. I do urge people to consider joining if you can afford it anyway. I don't pay myself anything out of it. It's not to give me money. It's just to keep everything going and supported. Just curious, where people put their lettuces to germinate at home in modules to get them to germinate in this hot weather? Okay, good question, actually. Good question, because lettuce, or certainly some lettuce, don't germinate if it gets too hot. I personally put mine in my veggie pod, and the veggie pod has got a bit of a cloth over it, so it does sort of keep it fairly cool. I think I wouldn't sow lettuce in a greenhouse at this time of year. I will do it outside under some netting or something just to protect it. That's what I thought. I don't know anybody else who's sowing lettuce at the moment at home in modules. Where are you germinating them? Well, thank you. Tomato night will be amazing. Yeah, we'll have a bit of a laugh with that one. If I can tidy this place up, I might be able to bring a cooker in or something. I mean, yeah, we'll come up with something. Idaho says, "I've been wishing for a greenhouse for 55 years. I tried one of the inexpensive with plastic covers fastened to the ground with 12-inch stakes. It still blew away. I have too much wind for polytunnel." That's why I'm not a lover of those inexpensive plastic cover ones. You know, even polytunnels, I think if you're going to buy a polytunnel, buy a decent one that is going to last and not get caught in the wind too much. I've been lucky with my greenhouses. So the one I first bought, which is one at home that I count would be about 8 years ago now when I moved into this house. I used club card vouchers, so I got it at something like £7. I ended up paying for it using club card vouchers. And then Granddad's greenhouse on the allotment, which is older than me, I inherited, so that didn't cost me anything. Although I've had to replace the glass on it a few times. And then the next one I'm getting isn't costing me anything either. Yeah. TurboStream, I'm growing my lettuce in modules under grow lights in my back lounge. There we go. My lettuce module trays go under my garden bench. Works great. There we go. My lettuce seeds are in our agrarian plug trainers in the shade. Shade is the key word I want there. My little gems have just germinated in my conservatory. Oops. They'll be right in your conservatory. Just keep them well watered and keep them cool. They could bolt in the heat. That's the risk with lettuce, is that they can bolt in the heat. They would bolt in this heat if I grew outside, as TurboStream says, which is why it's in modules under the grow lights in the back lounge. Yeah, I mean, it's just a case of trying to keep your lettuce cool, keep them well watered. Yeah, I think you should do that with lettuce anyway. Lettuce doesn't like to be sitting in water, but it does like to be moist at all times. I find if it doesn't get, sorry, let me rephrase it. I find lettuce, if it gets a bit too dry, it shows in the flavour of the leaves. It needs to get that crispy, nice tasting lettuce moist at all times. But yeah, I mean, lettuce this time of year when lettuce will bolt anyway if it's given half a chance. with this heat, not a surprise. There'll be a lot of things that will start bolting if we're not careful. But that's why we have to step in and why we have to keep the water going, and regardless. I know I said earlier that the garden's still going to be there afterwards. One thing we have to prioritize is watering. Like Toby Strimble says, keeping slugs off lettuce is hard outside. Again, I don't find that myself. I mean, this is a problem I've not discovered myself. We don't get many problems with lettuce slugs here, though, to be fair. So don't know why we're so lucky there. Oh, it's been a good chat tonight. I've got to say, thanks so much, you guys, for helping me with this. It's been a bit of a tough one. I should just say, next week's discussion, I want to be finding out, where do you get your plants from? Do you grow them from seed, all your plants, or where do you get your seeds from? Bit of a discussion along that line, just to try and find out where everyone gets their plants from and how they do it. I think this was a discussion that came up in a conversation we had. So, yeah. Anybody ideas for next week? Again, please do photos, videos, anything like that. Helps me out massively, gives me something to talk about, and I'd love to see those a bit more. Graham says, I think a lot of people will have trouble with leeks bolting within the next couple of very hot days. That's possible, actually. Yeah, I think things could be bolting a little bit more over these next couple of days. Jenny says, I have radishes bolting, but I'm leaving them to enjoy the seed pods. It's going to happen. Radishes are another one that really don't last long. Chili says, will lettuce grow okay in the shade at this time of year? In grow table under a tree canopy? Yeah, it'd be fine. It'd be fine in the shade there. It'd probably do much better in the shade, to be honest. Think about it. Lettuce is quite a broad-leafed plant, if you think about it. They're quite big leaves. And that normally means that it originates, when it's a broadleaf plant, it originates from shadier areas, and it produces big leaves to catch as much sun as possible. So, like rhubarb is another good example. Rhubarb is a big leaf plant, and originally it comes from under tree canopies. It's a shade plant, but it goes better in the sun. Yes, my Florence fennel has been happily bolting away all week. Gonna happen. We've got not so much bolting, the globe artichokes. I've got this globe artichoke plant that I inherited. We've always, when we've harvested the globe artichokes in the past, we've never found a way to eat them that we really liked. So this year I didn't bother, just left them, and they've started now to produce their flowers. I mean, they're nice. They are nice. I might actually get rid of that globe artichoke plant and start again thinking about it. Turbo Stream, I've been watering my leeks after last year's leeks bolted. Yeah, keep them all well watered. Just keep them all well watered. That's all I can say. I've been saying all week, there's no point rushing out and trying to do what you can in the garden. Wait till it cools down in the evening, then water the garden. Take it easy. Watering is something I do feel is a necessary thing to do, but everything else can wait. But at the same point, if you're tired, if you're exhausted, don't push yourself to water the garden. Yeah. So I think we've covered quite a bit tonight. We're talking about plants bolting. We started off with what you're growing and harvesting. I think a lot of you guys. I think a lot of you guys are going to start harvesting a lot of your foods, and you are going to absolutely love it. Tomatoes seem to be mentioned quite a bit, for example, and I get the sense everyone's excited to start digging into tomatoes. Oh God, sorry, I hope just knocked the microphone there. Got to sort the microphone situation out in here again one day. Digwell says, I beat my car horn at a dog lying in the road and he bolted as well. Well, he's probably hot. It's bloody hot out there. Dogs shouldn't be out and about until round about this time anyway, in my eyes. They should be kept indoors, as we've had to do. I grow lettuce in my kitchen window, salad leaf mix grown outside with cut and come again, but lettuce plants in my windowsills with my favourite tomato plant. Yeah, I mean, they'll be fine in a kitchen window. It's just, if you harvesting them regularly, they shouldn't bolt as fast. But this weather does encourage them to bolt, and I just find that if keep them well watered does reduce that risk, and try and shade them when you can. The trouble is, I always read this, and it always used to annoy me when garden experts would say, "Oh, just shade your lettuce during the hottest parts of the day." Well, I'm at work for most of the day, including the hottest part of the day. I can't exactly rush home, shade my lettuce plants, and then go back to work. They would have to be in shade most of the day. But it works. It does work. Lettuce is fine in the shade. I've said time and time again. Right, guys, I can feel my throat is starting to get a little bit tight. So I think I should call it a night right here. Apologies for calling it a bit short. Like I said, COVID is taking its toll. There will still be the audio podcast out tomorrow. It's not going to have the diary section because I haven't got any diary to talk about. It's going to be slightly different. I'll tell you what it's actually, because I think there was a photo that I meant to lead into it actually. The podcast is going to be about the top 10 mistakes that I made when I took on my allotment. It's not going to be a negative thing. It's going to be the things that I wish I'd done in the first place to give me a better head start now. Sorry, I've just seen something. I'll come to that in a second. But that's on the podcast tomorrow. Yeah, I can't promise. I'm hoping to shake this COVID off and be fine next week. I'm pretty sure I will be though. Let's quickly finish off. Idaho says, my little dog loves to go outside and lay in the sun on the hot concrete. These high temps, she chooses to sit in the shade. Yesterday, she actually barked at me to go inside. Yeah, our dog is a bit like that, but we force her in. Funny phrase, isn't it? My lettuce is bolting. Maybe we could have garden phrase week. I might get my lettuce is bolting on the t-shirt. Merch. Thank you, Richard. Look, get better. No problem. Take care of yourself, Richard. No, thank you. Cheers, Richard. See you next week. Stay safe and keep cool indeed. Thanks for doing the live show, even with COVID. Now go and look after yourself. Get well soon. I will be better and fighting fit very soon. I can guarantee it. Thank you for tonight when you are feeling poorly. Good discussions yet again. No, thank you to you all. Stay cool, everyone. See you next week. Speedy recovery, Richard. And everyone, have a great week. Take water to drink with you to the garden. Now, thank you to everyone out there who's helped me through this show. Couldn't have done it without you, as always. But tonight, it's been incredibly helpful. As I said, back next Sunday for another live show. Podcast out tomorrow. That's it. Just quickly, take care of yourself, Richard. Take care, everyone. Hope you've all had a great week and keep okay in the heat. From Jenny, Ian says, cheers, Richard. And Stuart says, stay safe, Richard. Get well soon. Let me just set this up. And yeah, well, that is it. Look forward to seeing you again next Sunday. Until then, please take care. Please stay safe. Please drink plenty of water. And remember, the garden will be there next week. It's too hot. Don't worry about it. Take care, guys.